The Mind Buzz, now partnered with My Grito Industries.
3, 2.
There's a countdown?
There's a countdown.
Wow. For what?
Mr. Deladeso.
For me?
For you.
Oh, man. You don't have to do that for real.
Richie, thanks for coming out.
Thanks for inviting me, man. It's the first time I had headphones on during a interview. Yeah.
Really?
It's kind of weird.
Is it?
It's like
How do you feel right
it's
now?
like it's kind of like I'm recording an album.
Yeah.
And like I don't like the sound of my voice, and I want to throw reverb. And, like, I want to make it not my voice.
Amber, throw some reverb on his voice.
No, I don't know how to do that. I'm sorry.
It's a button.
I owe you some reverb.
You owe him, okay?
Okay.
And you can just do it in post, right? Like later.
Yeah, we could do that.
Later.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll make you sound like a robot.
On the best of the best oof episodes.
Top 10.
I'm already just warning you. I'm probably gonna be the worst one.
Why? Why do you say that?
I don't know. I don't know. It's gonna be fun. Thanks for inviting me, man. This is a cool space.
Thanks.
Super creative and fun.
It is fun. It was a brainchild. Well, actually, this whole thing up here, whatever this is, it's one of those bored moments from the pandemic.
That one you can tell it took a second because it's like it looks kind of complicated.
Yeah, it did. What the trick is to get really stoned and be bored.
What'd you put it up
That's
with?
it.
It looks
With my
like-
hands.
Like
No, what is it holding not up with?
it's just pins.
Yeah, it's pins, push
Oh.
pins.
Like yeah.
Dang. So we're playing like Russian roulette here that none of those pins fucking fall on any of us? Or they're in there pretty good?
I won't hurt that much.
They're in there really well. Yeah,
All right.
Yeah, a little pica is fine.
yeah. It's as long as we don't eat like in the general area, I think we're fine.
All right.
Yeah.
Well,
But yeah, I did it like 3 different times because the I guess the sizing didn't really fit the tapestry that well, so I had to like maneuver some of the lights. But,
yeah, the lights are trippy.
yeah, it's pretty cool. I want to put more stuff up, but I don't know what to put up yet.
For a guest that can't see it, there's a tapestry up on the ceiling.
Oh yeah,
Probably like,
we're
what
gonna
the
spend like an
fuck are you
hour
guys-
talking about the ceiling.
Yeah, no
I
one
told
can
you
see
already
it.
that I'm gonna be the worst one.
Well, I asked Richie what was up, and he was like, "Well, your ceiling's up," and then we started looking at the ceiling.
Yeah, it's fine ceiling. You can put some stickers. I brought you stickers.
Oh.
So you can.
Show the stickers.
Bro, let's talk about your art. Look at this. Is this one? Look at that. That's fucking.
That's so cool.
Isn't that dope?
All right, what do you name that? Other people usually say something different.
The cheese Elisa.
That's probably the best one I've heard.
Thank
The
you.
Mona Pizza.
There you go.
Is
That's
that
the
what they
name of
say?
it. But I
Mona
liked yours. That was cool.
Cheese
That's the name of it.
Mona Pizza.
Oh. I really seriously didn't know that.
It's
before.
cheesy, right?
This is awesome, dude.
It's based on true events for sure.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like you saw it?
Well, I had seen it, and when we went to go see it, it's kind of like a weird like Coachella moment where people are just going to see the headliner, and you just see groves of people heading towards the Mona Pizza or the Mona Lisa, and you see it, and it's like tiny, and you're just kind of left at a.
I was gonna say it. I heard it's like really small, right?
It's just it's not that it's small. You appreciate that it is that, but since there's so many people, it just kind of like.
It makes it look small.
It's just kind of like, oh, that was it. Let's go see something else, you know?
You actually really went to go see the Mona Lisa?
Yeah. Me and my wife went to Europe, and just that was one of the stops.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What's is it really small? Can you Google how
Yeah.
big it is? I feel like it's large, but it's not.
No,
I-
it's
what
not
you're
that
saying.
big.
I think it's like around this size, maybe.
Yeah?
No, it's bigger for sure.
That is so wild. What's
You said
the
that's so wow.
yeah wild? Wow.
It's 2x6 by 1x9.
The
Wow,
hell
you guys
kind of
are fast.
measurements are those? Oh, that's 2 feet.
2 feet by
2 feet and
6 by
6
1
inches.
foot by 9.
by 9.
It's small. I told you.
2 feet is like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's
Whoa.
like security, and there's just people just like, wow, like pushing kids' faces out of the way. You're just like, oh man, let me see it. Just snap, snap, snap. And then you see it, and you're like, okay, I'm pretty much in that. And then did that. I was like, oh,
Did
let's
you
go
take
get
a
some
pic?
pizza
Did you take a picture next to it?
next to it?
Yeah.
No.
No?
I was like, you can't even get that close to it. There's like security. The rope's like many feet in front of it.
Yeah.
Sorry, my glasses are fogging up. I think it's because of these.
It's all good.
Well, you can see. I can't.
Yeah.
It's
You don't
all
have
good-
to
It's all
see.
good for
This
you.
is a podcast. You don't have to
talk.
see.
You don't gotta see.
Yeah.
People are gonna listen to it. They're gonna see me blind.
So a lot of your artwork is like that, like drippy and like
Gooey.
right? Like gooey-ish, drippy. How did you get there? Like what inspires you to do that? Or what would you describe your art as?
I had like called it grime. That was just kind of like what I would like call it back in like I was going to school back in like 2017. I was getting my associates in visual communications, and it was just boredom. I wasn't really good at tutorial style things, and somebody had left a computer open, and I just started kind of doodling on top of it, and I think this was like one of those moments that I was just like, oh, cool, I'm just going to draw stuff on top of a photograph, and just kept doing it.
Oh.
And that kind of just kept doing that. And then I think 2011 came by, and I was like, oh, that's when like zombies and drippy stuff started kind of happening. And that's where I started developing that. And I was from San Bernardino, so everything was like just language based. So it's like, oh, I called everything grimy, or that's how we spoke. And instead of calling it art, I was like, oh, I'm going to call it grime, grime art. Or specifically, it was called digital death and grime, which was like digital death was like work.
Oh, you're right here, digital death and grime.
Yeah, that was kind of like the work side of it, and grime. Like, so I would do work, client work and stuff.
Okay,
And I'm
yeah.
like, so I was just kind of making like a fake business back in the day. I'm like, oh, I'm going to call it something so I can find it later. And now, because of that, you can Google stuff and stuff
Holy
pops up.
shit.
That's really cool.
So it started like taking like its own movement, and kids started doing it on their own. They were super inspired. So they're like, oh, this is something cool. And like, it was trendy, and they started doing it. And then people started doing like their makeup as well.
This is what I seen. This is really cool.
Wait, oh, that's somebody's makeup?
Yeah, like
Yeah.
they did a rendition of his art on their face.
So that was like a whole nother movement that people started doing. So I was like, oh, that's pretty cool.
That's cool. How'd you feel when you started seeing things like that? That kind of
That kinda-
emulating.
That kind of stuff was super cool. It was just kind of very inspiring, because I was like, oh shit. Like, it kind of like inspired somebody else to do something, on their own. And like, that was like not me, it was like, oh. And I think a lot of people started doing it, and I put a name to that too. It was like Grimy look. So I was like, everything was kind of
yeah.
like faux
That's
branded.
cool.
So it's like, again, just so I can find it, because it's like the internet. Like, you put stuff up and it disappears almost.
Right.
That's cool. That's really cool.
So there's a bunch of those things that like I can't even tell which ones are not mine anymore.
Oh,
Yeah, I was gonna ask. Like,
They're not all yours.
So
All
like
this
that
stuff?
one, I can just see stuff. I'm like, oh, that one's not mine. It's just kind of inspired kid.
Mm.
But I've done like, dude, I have almost like just like 8,000 like dedicated posts.
Jesus.
Wow.
So I've been doing it for a
Christo.
long time for sure.
So when did you start?
Yeah, how long?
I've been doing it since 2012.
Oh, yeah. So it's been a while.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while.
So almost, 10 years? More than 10 years?
Just about, yeah.
Do you-
It's kind of hard to even like.
And this style is seems like it's not going anywhere, because it like changes in a way, I guess, with the time. But it seems like, because I remember around that time, this was pretty popular. I mean, it's still pretty popular now, right?
I think so.
Yeah.
I don't even know. Like, I kind of like, I did it, so I was just kind of like, oh, like I'm gonna do something else. I'm always kind of moving. I'm like, I'll get bored and kind of like just jump somewhere else.
Hmm.
Wow,
look at
like,
that
we're-
one. Hold on, I'm looking at this
we're
one.
like way too I know I'm looking at all of them too. That's really cool. When did you really like zone into art? Like when did you find out that art was like your thing?
I'm still not even sure of this. Like kind of like I'm surviving off of it, you know. So it's just kind of one of those things. I'm like, oh, I can do it. I'm making a sustainable living. So I was like, all right, I can do it, you know.
Bro, you did a collab with bakers, like doing their
cool, right?
Yeah. How the fuck did that happen? That's fucking cool.
I tell people it was just fan art, you know. It was one of those things that I was just like, well, if you're a fan of something, kind of show them. That's what the internet's for. It's like if you like something, like put it out.
Yeah.
And I did that, and then got contacted with the team, and then just started kind of collaborating on different projects, you know. And it came out, and I was just like stoked because I was just like not really expecting the response for it, because it's like that's like probably the most IE-est thing I've ever done.
The IE-est ever.
I think that's
thing.
the most IE thing I've ever done for sure.
IE-est sounds a lot cooler. I don't think Amber has tried a baker's.
I've never
burger.
been to Baker's.
She's never been.
No, just don't like burgers, or
No, I just I grew
to
up
treat her with it.
where I know
Yeah.
we have to go
'cause
after
of you.
this.
Is that where we're going?
Yes,
Yeah.
after this we're going to Baker's. No, but where I grew up there isn't a Baker's. It wasn't until I started coming out this way that I was like, what is that? Even like a Farmer's Boys, right? Or
It's
something like
kind
that?
of just like, what is it? Like just our own In and Out, right?
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
I'm gonna try this.
No, go for it. You don't have to wear them if you don't want
take them
to.
off.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
You tell me this now.
We've been torturing you the whole
I'm like,
time.
it's like getting hot. It's like no, it's one of those things. It's like I don't notice it because it's like it is kind of like one of those things that I learned. It's like when doing these kind of things, it's like always a new experience. I'm like,
Mhm.
all right, let's do it this way.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
whatever people are comfortable with doing.
I'll take them off with you.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Hey, no, I'm just kidding. I need to leave.
No,
them
you
on.
need a monitor.
I'm like, are we all doing it? No, just.
I'm gonna take off my shirt too. Probably the cardigan. I don't know.
It's warm in here. We have a lot of lights going on and all that. So
I know.
Go
I'll
for
cool
it.
down
okay.
now that these are off.
Yeah, that was like when I seen that when you posted that, I was like, that's fucking super cool. Like,
It's one of those things that you don't really appreciate until it's like happening. You're just like, oh man, like
yeah.
this is cool. Like it's something. I'm doing something. You know. It's like I think that's one of those things when your dad even notices, and you're just like, oh, like good job.
Good job, Timmy. Can you look it up? Can you find the stickers that he did? So your like your fan art, they made them into stickers and they went out with kids meals, or
Yeah, so that was like thing. It's like I just
There we
kind
go.
of created the things and then put it together and then just kind of presented it as a thing. It's like, hey, they should look like this, and they were super stoked on it and they went with it. And I'm like, they have a really fun team. They're like redeveloping everything, so they wanted to make it more. It was just perfect timing because it was like we're gonna introduce a kids meal. I'm like, oh, cool, and then that happened. I was like, oh, let me set this.
Oh,
put it together.
so they never had a kids meal
Up to
before
this
that?
point, they've never had a kids meal.
Whoa,
So it was
dude.
like
Cool.
I was launched like with them, you know. So I was like, all right, cool. It's like I'm introducing them, and I think it's gonna just turn into a bigger campaign at some point.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's really cool. I think it's always really like cool and interesting to see when like artists or just even entrepreneurs in itself can make a living off of your craft, right? What you do.
Well, that's kind of like the point, right? It's like, oh, let's buy a little bit more happiness so we can do what we want to do.
Yeah.
Like, so we can do what we're doing in a fun manner, you know, without having to worry about the financial side of stuff, you know.
Was that the goal at the beginning, doing
No, it's just
your
making,
art?
It's just making cool stuff. It
Yeah?
was just one of those things. It's like, let's just make some cool stuff. Like it wasn't even supposed to be a thing, you know. I didn't grow up wanting to do art per se, you know. It was just one of those things that kind of happened. I was just kind of like, I think I kind of just promote being myself, you know. I'm like, oh, like I'm known for a certain style that's kind of like I call it shitty good, and it's just like, oh, it's just like cool enough, you know. It's like, it's like if somebody else can like relate with it or like get inspired, it's kind of cool.
And so, do you draw all this stuff, or is it? I mean, I don't get it.
Like, well, it's I do like it's all it's whatever medium you want it to be.
So
you know?
like digital art, because I see you like paint stuff too, right?
Well, yeah, it's kind of like Pee Wee's Playhouse. It's kind of like just kind of make stuff out of trash. Or,
I want to fucking go here. Where is this place?
Ufalandia?
Yeah.
That's like my studio out in Riverside. It's just kind of like a working studio. That's a spot called Raincross District where they have like I created like my place set in their store. It's like a retail store. And I created like a little Moss Fun TV display to kind of post what we do.
What's Moss Fun TV?
Moss Fun TV is like a network that we had started doing this past 2 years. Yeah, it's pretty much television. It's like we wanted to create a place to kind of promote our own stuff and people.
Oh, is that where you like put the videos and stuff on?
Yeah, that's where we upload like a lot of the content that really makes no sense to anybody but ourselves.
Is that kind of like the theme of your art? It's like you just make things that make you happy and make you like proud, or are you putting it out for like other people?
For the most part, it's for myself, you know? It's kind of like how you express you like something or like how you express your feelings. It's like, and like you kind of show what things you like. It's kind of like my Instagram I use kind of as an ongoing like resume, you know? It's like, this is what I do. And a lot of times I guess that people are super like confused by it because they're like, what is you kind of do it, it makes sense to me, but for other people it's like you do a lot, like, and I'm like, and I don't even know what I do really most of the time.
You're just hanging out with some mediums and expressing yourself in, you know, certain situations and days, right?
For the most part, yeah. I think so. Yeah.
And you're getting paid for it. That's cool.
I do get I make it's a cool living, you know? It's like one of those things. It's like you're actually getting paid for the hard work you put out.
Yeah. So tell me about this, dude. I seen you did another collab with 1800 Tequila.
Yeah, this one was a really cool one. They kind of reached out for the Cinco de Mayo campaign they were doing. They created this little tiendita store out in LA and just kind of made it look all super like a market, you know? And then instead of having like the typical items in there, like they had like artwork and things that other artists were doing.
Yeah.
So it's filled with like all this phony stuff and then our art, you know? So they would make all the generic like soaps and all that stuff and then like have people drink tequila.
Oh, that's cool. That's really cool. It's pretty cool to see big brands like this kind of, you know, using artwork like yours and other like artists around the areas. Like that's pretty cool that they're doing that, because they can definitely go a different route, right? And just use their artists or things like that. So
I'm just kind of like, it's like the opportunities that come, you're just like, oh man, like I'm doing something, right? Like I'm doing like, they're using like a lot, for this one too was really cool because it's like 3 or 4 different IE people that were involved. So it was cool seeing like them using our own people, you know,
that is
from like
cool.
from out where we're from. So it's just kind of like, oh, we're around the same people, and it's like, so opportunities are happening. So it's kind of realizing like, hey, like people are paying attention. So it's like just keep killing it, you know?
Right. I mean, same thing happened with because you did something at the LA County Fair.
Yeah, that was part of a Mucho Gusto fundraiser that we were doing. We're putting together a festival called Mucho Gusto that's happening in September. So we're just throwing events to kind of like fundraise for this stuff,
okay, cool.
and pay for like the, you know, pretty much the volunteers. And so we're just kind of figuring out how to do it. So we're having our own like Wayne's World moment, you know?
Oh,
so
nice.
It's like we're putting a festival together, and we're like my friends, it's just like my friend's like brainchild. He would throw a party called Mucho Gusto. And then after the pandemic, like it stopped, and then we just brought it up again, and he was like, I'm gonna do a festival, and it's like he brought me on as like one of the creative directors to kind of like help the art side of everything, because it's like all like piñata surrealism. So I'm just like in charge of just making flyers and assets and like making it look fun, which is like kind of what I do, you know. It's like, oh, let's take something that's whatever and make it a little bit cooler.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't necessarily, I thought it was part of the Next Fest LA. No?
That was just, they were giving a slot
Oh,
to
okay.
join that thing. So it's like, I was able to even sneak a performance. So I was like on that.
Seen that.
So I was like, all right, cool. Like, so it's like one of my first like festivals, because I started doing music too. It's like, that was just one of many things that like get like, I'm bored. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do music. Because I used to do music back in like 20, maybe 07 or something. Like right when I was going to school, it was just
nice.
party days. I was like DJing and doing all that. And I stopped doing it because art happened. And then it's kind of like full circle. It's like, oh, I'm bored now. I want to do music again. You know, I'm like, because why not? Like, that's what the pandemic did for me. It was me writing in my journals all day, like kind of like, like the art, everybody started doing art. So I was like, all right, I'm going to do something else and I'm going to write. I don't write. Like, I could barely read, dude. Like, I was just like, I'm just going to do
It's
something.
true, ladies and gentlemen. I tried to give him an ad read and he refused it.
I tried it. No, we didn't even try it. I tried it right away. I'm like, I can do it. If you want me to do it, I'll do it. But that was that. So I was like, all right, cool. I've been kind of like, whatever opportunity I get to like perform, I do it.
Yeah.
And I think I got my first paid gig happening pretty soon too. So I'm like, now I'm getting paid for it. So it's like, oh, cool. I can do this. Like, I can actually like get by being more myself, you know, and like freaking out people even more with the singing, you know. And it's just like, oh, like, gets anything weird, I'm for it, you know. It's like, for when it's not like common, it's like, oh, let's see this train wreck, you know. And that's
right. I mean, bro, there's like there's opportunity everywhere, right? And I think just to have the lens to see where you can place your art or to place your music, like you have to look for those opportunities and you have to take them.
And it's hard because it's like you don't even know when some of these opportunities are even happening, because it's like you could be going through it, but you're so kind of like lost in a whole another mindset that you might even blow a conversation with somebody that you wanted to talk about, or something important you had to say. You'll kind of like be so in your head about it that you'll just completely miss the experience. So it's like, I think a lot of the art and stuff is just kind of like, oh man, like it's just the experience. Like the experience is like the paycheck for like a lot of these things, you know. It's it's like what you learn while doing something or kind of exploring is like, that's why we do these things. It might at the time seem like a struggle and it might suck, you know. It might not be the best time you're experiencing, I guess, you know, but like later on you're just like, man, that was dope. Actually, that was like cool, like,
right,
while it was happening, you know.
100%. Because when I got out of like my trade school and my college training, right, I didn't really grasp that until like I started working in the field, that like, because I studied business administration, right, and I was taking all these like different temp jobs like throughout, to where because I wanted to, obviously I wanted to manage an office, like that was a goal. And
that was your like, I'm gonna do this. Like,
I'm gonna do this. Like I'm gonna
challenge yourself. You're like, all right, I can do this.
I'm gonna bookkeep. I'm gonna do, you know, accounting shit. I'm gonna be a boss in the admin world, right? But I mean, I did reach that point. You know, I reached that point, but I thought about all the fucked up, you know, long hours that I had to do to get there. Like all these small, like dumb fucking little tasks that I had to do to get there over a span of like 6-7 years.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
Of like just kind of like,
but all that fucking experience, what I've learned, fucking helped me be the best manager that I was able to be.
And
you know
was
I mean?
it like you feeling like you were accomplished, or like was it just because things were running how they were supposed to run, or
Yeah.
it's like a balance of everything. Huh?
Yeah, for the most part,
Or did
because
somebody say good job? It's like,
no, I
You
think it
got a
was just
sticker.
I got it.
sticker, you
I got-
Apple sticker.
I got my sticker, but then I was like, you know what? Okay, cool. I did this. I pushed myself for X amount of years.
You said you were gonna do it. That's
yeah.
kind of like you were ambitious enough. You had
Right.
somewhat ambition to
right.
do something, and that's kind of what we kind of like have a hard time doing that, like in the creative side, because you're just like I suck, You're kind of constantly self-deprecating. You're like, everything I do is not good enough.
But what I also found out is you have to suck. There has to be a point where you have to suck at something. Everybody sucks at something before they start something. Before they're good at something or they're great, right?
Mm-hmm.
I at least in my experience, you have to suck first.
It's a forward fail, It's like
Right.
you kind of have to experience a lot of this. I used to skate, so I'm like, it's conditioning, really. It's like you have to kind of like fall and get back up and like fail again and then keep doing it. And you think you learned something, but then you didn't.
You
Really,
really didn't.
You're like, oh, that was a fluke, or no. You kind of you're kind of like whatever you want to do. You kind of set out there and be like, I'm gonna land this trick, so I land it.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what you're saying. It's like I'm gonna do this. I did it. And then when you do it, you find out you're like, okay, now what? Like, what else can I do?
Yeah,
It's like,
exactly. So when that happened, I'm like, okay, I'm a manager now. I'm running this office. Well, there's nowhere else for me to go, and I was like, okay, actually there is. All right, there you go. There's my 2 weeks. I'm gonna try something else.
you just said, all right, cool. I'm gonna bounce.
Yeah.
Did you know what you were gonna do?
No,
Were you
I still don't know.
were you
He's
scared?
still going through it. No, I'm just kidding.
I still don't know either, man. It's like
I was scared, but I think that just propelled me to do something else, to try it.
But even like the guests that we had on and like myself, I
It's Jesse's fault.
it's
by the way.
Jesse JFR's fault.
Jesse
No, but-
JFR, it's your fault.
But even like for myself, like I've never had a real, I'm like, I don't want to say a real job, but with the real boss, right? Because I work for my family. So a lot of it was like, yeah, I have time to go to the beach. I have this, I have that. So he started seeing this entrepreneurial side of like, you have more access to do things that you want, right? And then we started interviewing more people that were doing things that they wanted and fulfilled them. And I think that's what kind of gave you the push too, right? To just be like, you know what? Fuck it.
100%. I'm like, if
you had a good support group,
Yeah.
You need to be surrounded by people that are kind of like down with whatever you're doing and not
The
questioning or
gypsy
like,
life.
well, yeah, it's just like it's gonna work out because it's gonna work out.
Yeah.
With that
Yeah.
mentality, you're like,
right.
I don't know if it's gonna work out. I don't know if anything's gonna work, but it's like if you don't do it, you're not gonna really. You're never gonna know.
Yeah.
Basically,
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. And that was one thing that I didn't want to live with, was some type of regret. Like 10 years down the road, 20 years down the road, I was
You're
like,
gonna
fuck,
regret something.
I
at
should have
some
fucking
point.
left.
I'm a dweller. I'm like always like, oh man,
Yeah.
shoulda, coulda. Like my wife has to snap me out of it all the time. She's just like, hey, bro, you're being too much. It's like, what good thing happened to you now that you're upset about? And I'm like, you know what? you're right, dude. Like I need to just shut up sometimes and like and just appreciate the good. I don't think. Because we're always so freaked out about something, or I'm always freaking about the next nothing, and I'm like, all right, cool, like, and then it happens and nothing. So it wasn't that bad. So I'm just like overly thinking.
Why do you
Yeah.
think that, like, is that for you?
I feel like for me, it's one of like my security blanket.
Yeah.
Like I'm here with this sweaty cardigan. I'm just like I like being like just kind of like I'm a man baby. I'm like a lot of times I'm just kind of like. I'm like, man, like it takes a while to kind of jump out of my head, but I've always been like this. Like I've been ever since I was young too. It's just like an overactive thinker, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
So I'm always thinking about possibilities that might not even happen. So it's just like, oh man, like you're just chill,
Do you think like that because you rather like already kind of brace yourself for it not working, and then if it does, then great, but if it doesn't, then you expected it type of thing?
I think a little bit of that, yeah, for sure. It just and it's like I haven't even had like super bad things to happen for me to even think that way, you know? It's just very like annoying to myself sometimes. I'm like, oh man, like stop. Like it's just like just go with it, you know? And it's just that's always been like my not cool thing is just about me. It's just like, oh man, like you overthink sometimes.
I'm like, what's your sign? No.
Aries.
Oh no, I don't know anything about Aries.
You said you don't know anything?
I said I don't know anything about Aries.
It's April.
April. I'm like, do I have anybody in April? Oh, I do have someone in April. Okay, I can see it.
It's a fire sign. It's a fire sign, I think.
But I mean, but look at you. Look how far you've come and everything that you do. And I think it's really cool that you want to do something and you do it.
Yeah.
You don't care what it's going to make you look like to anybody else or, you know.
But all
like
that overthinking, oh, sorry to cut you off.
No,
Amber,
you're fine.
but all that overthinking is there's some positive.
There's
Positive coming out. You know what I mean?
A lot of it, I think it does kind of like think I'm being humble about it and kind of humbleizes me and kind of like keeps me grounded and it's like necessary. But at some point I'm like, all right, the self-deprecation has to cut off too, you know?
Right.
I can't always think that way. I think it wasn't until like this past year, I'm like, all right, cool. I'm going to like accept that good things are happening and like just go based off that fuel instead of just kind of like, but it kind of like adds to my music, like fake sad boy stuff. Like it's real and it's relatable, you know, because everybody kind of pains the same. And it's like, it's kind of like a more like the music I do is like an emo Mr. Rogers, you know, and it's kind of like, but it helps me. Like it might sound sad, but like for me, when I perform it, it makes me feel really good, you know, even though it sounds sad. It's not supposed to be super sad. You should, if you have a moment, you should listen to it. It might make you cry. Maybe.
You're like, but it made me feel good.
But your tears bring me smiles.
He's like watching those numbers on Spotify rise, and he's just like, "Fuck yeah!"
Very slowly. Just
these guys are
one at a time.
Everybody's crying, but I'm over here. I'm fucking ghastly, dude.
It's Goofy Duck. It's fun.
That's cool. So what goes through your mind? Like you were saying earlier when you were like the most like the more awkward it is, or the more that you can be yourself, like it's better. Like for me, I have this like. I think because I grew up always thinking I had to be perfect, right? Or things had to be perfect. I needed to do things like the right way. That now as an adult, I'm always like, oh my God, like I don't want to do this because it's embarrassing, or, you know, things like that. And for you, like what goes through your mind? Like what do you tell yourself when you're going to go up on stage and sing, you know, your songs, or when you're going to create something? Like what's that voice inside of you saying?
Finish it, you know, like just get it done, you know. It's like what made my like art popular on Tumblr was just that I would post it and forget about it. Like I didn't really think about it. I just kind of saw and just grimed it out and then put it up. And I try to approach it with that mindset with everything. It's like, just do it, just Nike it, you know. Just kind of like put it out, don't even think about it, and then when you get the reaction or not, you know, that's like expectations, you know. I'm like, I don't really put too many. I just kind of like do it because I feel it and then see it later, you know, because then later that's when you get people coming up to you and just kind of going, oh, that's thank you. Or like, you know, you see what it does to other people and you're like, oh, yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, I dig that, you know. It's like sometimes it's like a job and then you just like treat it as a job. All right, cool, I'm trying to get paid. But it's like when you think that way, you kind of like cheat yourself the experience of like what's happening, you know. So it's like when you get too much in the mode of like money and like I gotta do this for work, we do, right? We have to like survive off what we do. But when it's like so driven off of it, it's like you'll lose a sight of why you're even doing it, you know. It's like cool, it's like I'm in it right now. It's just you always have to kind of remind yourself to just be in that zone, you know, because it's like cool, I'm gonna create this artwork for this company, you know, and then like bakers, you know, and it's like, whoa, like think about what it's doing. You're not just making stickers. You're like gonna impact somebody else to be like, dude, this guy from the IE did it. I'm gonna do it too. That's cool. Like, and that's what it's gonna be. You know, I think it's just gonna open opportunities for other artists to kind of explore their creativity and like do it too. You know, because it's like it's not only me, but it's like IE, you know, it's like everybody. Anytime you do something, it's like cool. It's like a team thing. When anything, you're from the IE, right?
Yeah.
And that's how it's always when you see some IE stuff, you're like, that's IE, you know, and you feel a little bit proud. You're like, oh, we did that, you know, and I think that's cool for sure. I don't know if I answered any of those questions.
No, yeah.
Yeah. You answered that one and 3 other ones that I haven't asked yet. We're getting through your list, Richie. We're getting through your list.
I had a list
Of your questions, remember, for us to ask you. Just kidding.
I asked some specific questions to ask me because I'm a diva, Della Diva.
Della Diva. I like that.
That's gonna stick now, huh?
Della Diva.
So the IE art. Okay, mind you, we've been talking to artists for how long? For about a year, maybe, right, Amber?
Yeah.
And I feel like Riverside and IE and out that way, like it's becoming a little bit more popular now. Have you seen that, or were you just in the scene so much to where like you'd even take notice of that?
At first, I was just kind of like just doing art, right? And I was just living in Riverside. I didn't really like appreciate where like, oh man, I'm part of this community that's happening, you know? I was just kind of like, I'm just it's just kind of when you're doing work and you're trying to survive off of it or whatever, and you're just kind of like, I gotta pay rent, it's hard to see what's going on around you, you know? Because like life is not easy, you know? It's like when you survive off doing what you do, you kind of find it's like, oh man, it's like struggles, it's like ups and downs, mostly downs, you know? And it's like, and it took a couple of years of like doing stuff in the community and being involved with like different bands and all these people. And I'm like, oh, there's something pretty unique happening out here, and it's cool to be one of those people that are a part of it, like why it's happening, you know? And it's like there's just so many artists everywhere, you know? It's kind of like it's cool to just be a fan of just other people and support other people. And when you have a platform like mine, it's like I tend to always bring other homies on, you know, and just be like, look at these people, you know. If people are watching, I'm like, cool, look at them, you know, like kind of always like shouting out homies.
Oh, that's
you know?
cool.
Because that's what a sustainable live, you know. Because I'm only cool for a little bit, you know. It's like, but like when somebody else becomes like cool too, they might hire me, you know, when I'm on that down moment, you know. I might be like, I always have work, you know. That's kind of like the Mexican in me. I'm always gonna have some kind of work, you know. I'm always gonna be doing something, you know. I'm never gonna be like
job security, dude. That's the Mexican job security, bro.
We don't have any type of generational wealth, you know. It's like we're the ones in charge of building it, you know. So it's like
100%.
So everything I've done, it's just kind of like, and that's like an IE thing. It's like we usually do it with nothing, you know, and it turns into something, you know, eventually. But it's like it comes with that community, you know, and that's utilizing everything around us, you know, because we tend to go to like, and I go to LA, you know, and go have fun over there. But it's like, you know, like we can build our own Hollywood within our own community, you know, and like utilizing the people and friends we have around us, you know. There's cameras everywhere. There's Wi-Fi, you know, so it's like, I think we just paying attention, you know. It's kind of like, oh, we can do it here, you know.
Yeah. Especially you need the resources, you need, you know, but the people are there, right? I mean, the artists are there.
The talent
is there.
Man. Like, I think the resources is just kind of like, we're growing up. It's like, hey, we can get permits. You know,
right.
we're grown ups now.
Fuck, I forgot.
we forgot we're not babies no more.
Oh, shit.
I forget that like once a day.
We can go to the city and ask for permission to do stuff legitimately and like not worry about getting shut down, like being super punk rock about throwing parties.
How many times does that happen? Like throughout the week, dude. Like I think like, oh wait, I can fucking do that. Oh wait, hold on. I just need to make a phone call.
You went to
That's all I need to do. Exactly.
You're a business guy. Oh, you should know this business. Like I tend to like pay attention to the people around me. I'm like, cool. Like I don't have to know how to do everything.
Exactly.
I can hire the people that are doing the best already. I'm like, and just give the jobs and opportunities to them, you know. Because you
Preach
see,
it, brother.
no,
Preach
no,
it.
no, no. It's just common. It's just common. Oof, you know. It's just like one of those things. That's like people need to pay attention to that kind of stuff and be like, this. That's what sustainable communities are. It's like,
Right.
dude, like
the people are the resources.
like I can make T-shirts, but if I can give that opportunity to somebody else to make the shirts for me, it's less work for me. And it's
See, Amber, we were just talking about T-shirts last night, right?
we've been talking. We gotta get a press. We gotta get a.
Yeah, he was like, we can get everything.
We can get everything, and then
we're gonna have time.
Yeah, and then last night I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna have the time for this. I don't have the space.
You already quit. You're like, dang.
We have to.
we haven't even bought it. He's already returned it.
We're did you keep the receipt?
I had it in the
I haven't
cart.
bought it yet.
I have it in the Amazon cart, ladies and gentlemen.
You're gonna put it back.
I got to put it, save it for later. That's what I'm doing.
But you're right. Like your community, and I've always like remember Gil when I would tell you like I don't know how to explain it. Like having people in my back pocket, like that sounded bad, right? But I didn't know how to further explain that making connections with people and having these things where you show up for them and they show up for you.
Oh yeah.
And knowing these people that can do different trades. It's kind of like you said, like being Mexican, right? You always have that uncle that does this or the aunt that does this or somebody that does this or you know someone that does this, and those are your resources. Those are the people that come together to get to that common ground that you want to. And I think like you were saying, like building community with other artists or other people that come together that do things that maybe you need or, you know, to come into like commonality. I think that's one of the most beautiful things, honestly.
That's a smart one. Like, but it's like I say, like being Mexican, but it's just being human, you know.
Yeah.
It's not even being a certain like race or anything.
No.
It's like just being aware that hey, this is how we do a sustainable living, you know, and like, and people that do stuff, they just say stuff, but I'm like, well, you gotta do the things that we preach about too, you know. You can't just fucking go around just kind of like, oh, I gotta do it. You gotta, because it's control, right? It's like we want to control as much as possible. We want creative control. Once people try to take your creative, you freak out, right? You're just like, oh no, this is my creation. Like I want to, but it's like when you watch your favorite movies, there's always the credits at the end, and it's like a big stack of people, you know, and like people like you are like added to my credit roll, you know, that you're part of like why I'm even successful, you know. So you enter my world, and it's like, oh, now it makes sense, you know, and it's like now you're part of my journey, and like, and you remember things like that, and it's like building. This is building community, you know. It's like saying yes to anybody that's persistent on asking, you know. It's like when you guys kind of hit me up, I'm like, cool. Like once you hit a person up twice, it's like, oh, they're interested, you know, like they're genuinely want to. I'm like, oh, cool.
There's gonna be a third and fourth time. Just,
until you said yes.
I'm pretty persistent.
And I was just like, oh, that's not spam. That's a thing. like that's an email. Like, oh, that's a real thing. Like, oh, like, and I just kind of
they're not robots.
because like no, when people are, like I've had interviews where it's just a questionnaire thing, and it's just like I'm like, this isn't fun, dude. Like this is I didn't even do it. I'm like, get showed on our thing, and I'm like, and then you start to do it. I'm like, this isn't human. This is not.
This is a robot.
This is AI.
And
This is an
like,
AI podcast.
They want you to post it, and you're like, this isn't even real. Like, so people use stuff like that, you know. People use like those as opportunities to kind of clout themselves or like show relevance of what you're doing. And that's what I like about your guests. They're just, I don't know half of them, so it's just like, oh, it's different humans, you know. So that's what makes it fun. And it's like, it's just people being people, and I think people are interesting, you know.
They're interesting.
People are peopling.
Mm-hmm.
They're people. The people are happening. It's happening more. What people? What's the meaning of life? It's just more life. It's just more life existing more like.
But it's true. It's like we get to meet these people, and we get to put out their stories of people that maybe you never in your life you'd ever get to cross path with or get to know or anything like that. And I think that's really.
And when you guys choose people, is it like just random, or how do you guys approach the selection of guests?
Some
go first, Amber.
Some will reach out to
Do
us.
we even have a formula?
Dang, big times they reach out to you?
Yeah, we've had a couple now
A few.
recently. that have reached out to us, but mostly, honestly, it's people that we kind of admire or that we see or that, are within our circle that people say, hey, this person has a really cool story.
What am I doing here? I was kidding.
Because we're fans of your art.
No, I'm just kidding.
So.
I appreciate it. I was you jerk.
We're like, we don't like you. I don't know what you're doing here. No.
You just come here to bash me. It's a roast.
It's a roast.
That's why I was like, I don't know. Like,
we're like, someone's calling on the line, and then we bring it up, and it's
Mom starts talking crap to me. I'm like, oh man.
And I was like, he owes me $20.
It's my grandma, and you think it's gonna be nice, and it's nope. Got roasted by my grandma too. Abuelita.
She's like, that mustache is fake. It was mine.
Shut up, abuela. No, you see the little grays, right? It's like at least I'm the first one with grays, right?
There's paint.
Yeah,
you could paint those. It's fine. But how do you choose? Right? I mean, that's how we choose. Basically, any art that we see that's fucking cool, fascinating, bands.
You're like you're the same thing. It's like, hey, it's like what is that game at Chuck E. Cheese, the basketball, where you're just kind of shooting your shot whenever goes in.
Pretty much.
And it's like just unlimited, some goes in, some doesn't, and then it's fun either way, right? It's just like cool. And sometimes you get tokens and little tickets and prizes, and I think the conversations are like the little nuggets you get from people. It's like, oh, that was special, And I think that's our prizes, and that's our legit sweat equity is that, it's like the amount of work you guys put into doing these things. It's not easy, it's like it takes time. It's like you said, after this you're be stuck in the dungeon, right? Like editing or like putting it out. So it's like it takes time, and it's like you have to kind of appreciate that kind of stuff when people are down to put people like me out. It's like, dude, I'm appreciative of it. That's why I always bring gifts, it's like, oh, I appreciate your time.
No, we love it. Thank you. We appreciate your time. I'm like, I always think like people when we tell them to come, and then we're like, we don't know them, and you're coming out. It's almost like a first date, right? Like a blind date. Like
we're on a blind date.
Everything
is blind date.
Everything is awkward. Like always. Like it's just like. So it's like I can only imagine. It's just like, oh man, like, and you're always kind of nervous, right? You're not before somebody comes in. You're just kind of, oh, I wonder how they're gonna be, And it's like, and. That's why putting no expectations is so cool, because it's like, all right, cool. It's like, it's something at the end of the day,
And I'm beginning to learn that, like after doing maybe a year, I think we said a year, right? A year,
about a year.
Of doing like in-person interviews. I'm getting to notice that, because I still get nervous. Like I get nervous.
When you saw me, I was
before these
crazy earlier. Like it takes me a while to kind of get comfortable and like, oh, like it's just chill. You have to kind of control a lot of that that nervousness and like channel it somehow, and it doesn't always work, But it's like, it's happening, And
absolutely, I think the more you do it,
the worse you get.
The more you do it, the worse you get.
But you get.
But you learn from that.
Hotter.
It
gets hotter.
Each time you do it, you learn from that. Like we did a poetry night the other night at one of our events, and I was nervous as fuck. I was a nervous wreck, dude.
You're gonna pass out up there.
And you did one.
I didn't do any poetry. I
I
was just hosting it, and I was nervous because it was one of the first times we've done how many open mics. I've been.
Was it always Mind Buzz, or was it one of your events, or?
Yeah, we do it.
Cool.
In I guess what in what's that thing called?
DMX.
DMX.
DX.
X gonna give it to you.
DX.
No, in
Next generation.
Yeah,
in collaboration.
Wait, we do it in collaboration with the
You
cafe.
said the X, dude. I was like, I would have never got it. I'm like, what are you talking about?
DX. I've been watching a lot of
He
wrestling.
said collab.
Yeah, collab, right. So there are collabs with the venues that we do it at, right? The stages. So
do you approach them too? Do you like set those up and
No.
like, hey, we want to do them, or they reach out to you guys, or?
Well, where we do it is it's my family's place, so We have full range of the entire
We got
place.
Perfect.
Creative control.
We can be
buddy.
as creative as we want to be.
These are the fields that you can kind of like, all right, let's develop this. Let's mess up and let's have a good time, you know?
Right.
It's like at the end of it, when I do the Moss Fun, right? And we just do it for fun. And like, we don't care if anybody's watching it, you know? We just want to build an organic fan base, and that's all that matters. I'm like, cool, we're going to create different kind of television and with no like real like expectations of what we're trying to do. But we do have ambition, you know, and we do have like, hey, like, I remember when I watched TV, I liked watching music videos, and we're like, cool, we're going to do that, you know? We're going to like showcase all our friends that do music and like give them a platform to do this, you know? And then we're going to do like MTV again, but like our own way. It's like, but it's not even different. It's just playing music videos. You know? It's just like play music videos. I'm like, and that's what we're trying to do. Just different stations of that kind of stuff, you know? And it's funner that way because it's like you don't care.
Are you
know?
doing it out of like a nostalgia factor? Like you miss these things, or these are things that you want to see in the world, so and you don't see them. So you know what? Fuck it. I'm gonna make my own and do it that way.
That's kind of the reason. It's like because there was not something like this happening, but like noticing at the same time that we're all individually TV channels. You know, we're all channels of our own, and we're just different clicks, you know. And that's like it sounds deep, but it's not that deep.
It's I'm mind blown. Dude, I'm gonna eat my edible tonight, and I'm gonna think about that, and it's gonna.
Well, like think about how everybody's creating commercials.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Everybody's like a channel. Everybody's kind of like, watch me do this, you know, and like it's. Once I kind of learned that, I'm like, oh, it's pretty simple. It's like if I am the point of view, I'm gonna give them a fun show, and figure out a way to do it. Whether it's me saying my ABCs or whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's kind of like, hey, like let's try different things, and that's like we're products of those inspirations, right? Like what we grew up watching, like Mr. Rogers, Power Rangers. So I'm like, all right, cool, we need that. Like I want to create something with a moral backbone again, you know? Like right now there's so much television and stuff, but it's all kind of garbage. So I'm like, it's like there's no morality. It's all kind of just wicked and weird. And I'm like, well, I'm going to create, I know kids are watching, you know, and kids are like always there. I'm like, I'm going to create something for my future children that don't exist yet, you know? And I want to make something that I, in the future, can sit down with my own kid and we can both watch together and have a awesome time, you know? What? And that's what Moss Fun TV is supposed to be.
That's cool. You know, I was thinking about this the other day. I was thinking, like, why do you guys think that our generation, I'm going to say our because I'm assuming you're in our age range, but our generation, we base ourselves off a lot of like nostalgia, right? Like Gill right now, the shirt that he's wearing, like the, you know, Tacolodian. Like I have like a Rugrats shirt that I wear, right? And I'm 32 years old. Like I didn't see my parents doing those things for themselves when they were like my age, right? And I was thinking like the other day, I was like, I wonder why our generation is more tapped into like our inner child than most other generations. Did you guys ever think of that?
I kind of grew up as a latchkey kid, you know, like the TV kind of, I am the cable guy, you know, the Jim Carrey movie. Like television raised me a bit. Like a lot of who I am is because of like television and how like, you know, like there was morality. There was like when you watch Power Rangers, they talk about being a good person and all this. It's like, and it's fun to watch. And that's the stuff that stuck. And it's just, I guess it took a long time to come back out. And I'm like, oh, I think that's us as humans is like, we like nostalgia stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Even if it's garbage and you know the movie's going to suck, we're still going to watch Halloween, you know? We're still going to, because it's part of us, you know? And we're just super invested in it. Or I don't know. I think about it a lot too, but I'm like, it's just, we are the product of what, we're the poop that came out of that, you know?
Right.
Like,
but I think too, maybe it's just a human thing because, I mean, we are not our parents, right? Like, we're not our parents. But aren't they aren't they thinking about, like, their nostalgia in a certain way, but it's just a different time period?
Yeah, I
You know what I
can
mean?
see that. But I guess what I was thinking the other day was like like
Think about your mother.
think
Your
we're,
mother's
like-
always pushing to listen to 70s rock music every
Yeah.
chance she gets. So
80s.
that's her. That's
Yeah.
her trying to fill that nostalgia void,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, yes. But I didn't grow up seeing my mom wear like a t-shirt or something of like the cartoon that she liked or things like that.
Because
I
they
feel
didn't
like,
have cartoons back then.
yes, my mom is not old. I'm gonna tell her. I'm gonna cut this soundbite and send it to her.
Oh, she's gonna love it.
My mom is 53 years old. She's not that old.
She's young. Yeah, super young.
What do they have?
According to Gill,
They got
she's,
Mickey.
Listen,
Mickey.
guys, listen,
They just
guys,
got
I
Mickey.
understand both you guys, and I just want everybody to be happy and healthy and love your parents.
No.
That both makes sense for sure. You know.
Yeah. I just feel like
Richie's
we're, like,
Richie's the
adult
friend
children.
in the back seat.
I
Wow.
just don't want to get hit. Like, I don't want to shoot a fly at me. You know.
Watching. We're like, just sit there, be quiet. Tú cállate. No, I'm just
I just got done sweating. I'm gonna sweat again. Can you pick me up, Mom?
He's like, I just got comfortable, guys.
I thought I was getting to know you guys, and then
No, we're kidding.
nostalgia rages over here.
I'm
Let's not
serious
talk about
my
it.
nostalgia.
No, but I get your point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just feel like we're more in tuned with like our inner child, right? Like healing our inner child. I feel that this generation is just more into healing and like, you know, generational healing and things like that.
Our whole like generation has been like the testers and stuff of this technology, and like we're kind of like that, you know. We're like, oh man, we're the crash test dummies for all this new stuff that's happening, and then we're kind of like, it comes with generations too, because like all the new kids don't really care about how woke you are, you know. They're bored, they just want to have fun. So it's like this thing that happens, it's just like a thing that we're stuck with, you know, and like, and we have to just kind of snap out of it too, and just jump out of the vortex and just kind of like, hey, it's not as crazy as the media makes stuff seem, you know. And it's like things, I think a lot of people want to be right all the time, and I'm like, I'd rather be wrong, you know. I'd rather just focus on like not the facts, you know. People are always like, oh, this is concrete, and it's like, I read this somewhere. I'm like, well, that's cool, but I don't really care, you know. It's like I want to just do something else, you know. I'm trying to like numb out some of that stuff, you know.
That makes sense.
If it makes any sense at all.
It makes sense. It makes a lot of sense. Are you still thinking about it?
Yeah.
I'm like,
I want to hear your answer for sure. No, it's a fun experience, you know. That's I keep going back to it, but I'm like, that's it. I'm just, don't miss it, you know. It's like this stuff, like you guys are killing it right now, you know. Like you appreciate this moment because it's like this is the stuff you're gonna remember like later, you know. It's like not when you have your big studio or all your big dreams are like accomplished. You're gonna look back at like, man, that was the cool
that was
stuff,
fucking
you know?
cool.
Yeah,
At that point,
we had no money and we almost like we're homeless. Like that was awesome.
Remember the lights almost turned off during an interview?
I do. They really did turn off.
Oh, that's based on true events.
Yeah, based
Been
on a true story.
You paid it, right?
He's like, I thought you paid it. No, we had a glitch.
Yeah,
it all turned off.
It's a glitch in the system.
Did you guys freak out a little or a lot?
A lot. We recorded all in the pretty much in the dark. Our guests were like, all right, that's cool.
We kept on rolling with it.
Remember, we told you we don't edit anything.
You guys are cool people. It's fine.
We're like a little
Roll
dark.
with it.
Yeah, what are we gonna do? Stop the podcast because of fucking lights? No.
Well, when the cameras stop rolling, that's when it's really done.
Oh yeah, we still got the audio.
No, night vision, night shot.
No, that's cool. Well, what else do you have for the future? Like, what else is bubbling in your brain that you want to do?
Right now, that like I said, the music stuff is very new to me, and it's been the most therapeutic part. So I'm just like, I'm putting everything's like full circle. It's like now the music's making sense. Now I'm doing this. I'm like, cool. I'm gonna create this movie more, you know. And like, I like film. I like creating visuals, and like, I'm just trying to puzzle all this stuff together and make it make sense to somebody else. You know? Because it might make sense to me, But if it doesn't make sense, like if it's not relatable or if it's not like, then who's gonna watch it or who's gonna really care? But I think creating it is the funnest part for me right now.
Have you tapped into like any animation?
I have been developing my own little character. I don't know if you've seen it online, but like the little Richie, all that stuff.
I love him. I love that dude.
It's part of like this whole new world that I'm creating, and which takes place in Ufalandia, but the show is going to be called Los Dumpies, which is like Los Dumpies was one of those things in like when I was in like high school, like people were like, oh, you dress dumpy or you look dumpy, and I took that and I flipped it, and we're like, okay, we're Los Dumpies then. Like it's kind of like taking the negative stuff and making something good out of it, you know.
That's cool.
It's that 8 Mile moment, you know, where he's like, well, I'm gonna talk crap about myself and then give you no ammunition to get me, you know. And that hit me like hard. So I was like, when I seen that, I'm like, oh, that's it. I think I might have cracked a little piece of that, you know. But it's like, I fear the confidence side of this thing because it's like, oh, it might turn into cockiness, and I don't want to turn into that style of stuff. So I'm very like cautious about how I put stuff out or explore into that confidence mode, you know, because it's like you never know. It's like I have my wife there and she'll kick my ass. Like she'll kind of bring me back to reality and be like, hey fool, no, like, you know. So you do need people around you that are gonna call you out on like, hey, you're being a douche. Or
how
like,
important is that to have a support system
like your wife?
Oh, super important, man. I need people to be real around me. I don't want people to just be like yes men and just kind of like everything you do is cool. Like, cause it's not like I'm making it. I'm making intentional like crappy songs, and then people are like, oh, it's like, but there's I'm like, it's not that. Don't like they you know, cause people gas you up and like, but it's. I think that I need to get out of my head because I think a lot of people do appreciate it, and I do have to be confident in the sense of like, hey, it's not all crap, dude. It's like you're saying that, and if you say that too much, people are gonna believe that, you know. It's like, why are they gonna listen to it if you don't even like it? So that's things that my wife kind of brings out of me. I'm like, hey, like those are thinkers. I'm like, whoa, like get instantly like stoned, like, whoa, that was too much information. But it's like it like blew something in there that kind of makes sense, you know. And it's like, okay, yeah, maybe this does affect somebody, you know. So I'm like, I'm starting to appreciate it, you know, and be more confident. So things are happening, you know, like it's happening organically. And so it's like you can't force that kind of change to happen overnight, you know?
Right.
I think like we do that too. The other day we had a conversation where like we do things and I'm like, oh, it went great, like good job. And then he'll be like, no, you did a good job. And I'm like, no, but you did this and you did, like, instead of just saying, hey, you know what? Thank you. I did do a good job.
Just take the compliment.
Yeah. And we don't. We want to pawn it on each other because we feel that if we take or at least I do, like, I feel like if I take the compliment, then like I'm crossing that like cockiness border type of thing, like what you're saying. But it's true. It's like we do cool stuff. And once in a while saying, you know what? I'm going to take the compliment. It's not that bad. Yeah,
take the compliment because sometimes it's just kind of like, you're thinking too much, obviously, and you're just like, oh man, like it wasn't that bad, or I wasn't that sweaty, but I was.
We got on video.
It's glistening.
We got the sweat on video.
We're shining.
Oh, there we go.
You're
glowing.
I was sweaty. Thank you guys, but no. No, but it's like, because I think you're always striving for better, you know? I think when you think that way, you're just like, I could have done it better. So you can't dwell on it, but it's good to think about it and be like, all right, cool, that's not going to happen next time. Or I'm going to figure out how to like not perfect it, but like tackle it smoother, make the landing a little smoother or whatever. Right. And it's just, that's one of those things. It's like, but you have to acknowledge, like, all right, cool. Like somebody's giving you a compliment, for like, accept it and be happy about it. Cause it's like when it's not happening, we're kind of like, oh, I suck, you know, like you're living in that weird world.
Yeah. I mean, when you step back, like if you like, say for instance, like you're doing an event or you have a art piece or you put out a song, right? I think just the experience in creating that and then going back and looking at it with a different lens, it's pretty powerful. And even getting your support group in there to kind of tell you like what's good and what's not good?
Yeah, because my homies will tell you, like they'll say, like the real ones will be like, oh, that's kind of weird. You should try this, Like they'll be like, that was like legit. Like it was just like, all right. And like, and you can't react like you wanted the truth, so you can't be like, no, I like it. How you can stand your ground too. So it's not wrong. So there's like different aspects. I'm like, well, no, I trust my intuition,
right.
So it's like, I appreciate what you're saying, but I'm like, I know what that is, or it's
so
supposed to be.
But how do you know the difference in that point to where you're taking taking constructive criticism, right? Or where am I going? So you like, where's the point between where you're taking constructive criticism and you're putting your foot down and saying, no, this is what I want?
When it makes sense, when you feel it, it's just one of those things. Like, you're right. Like, you're not going to question it. You're like, I was feeling the exact same thing, You'll kind of be like, oh, that was a good idea that you made me think, like you made me think that way, because you want to be like, I was already thinking that. But really, you might have not have been. So it's like, thank you for that boost. I'm like, oh, yeah, I wasn't thinking that. That's cool. And it's like, because it's like when you're making stuff, it's kind of taking the comedian approach. It's like you want to make stuff that's relatable. And that's why it makes comedy funny, because everybody can relate to it, So when making something, you want to make it super like personal, but also something that people can relate to as well, because that's what's going to make it funny or like make sense, But that's when you get that engagement, that's when when somebody else is like, hey man, like you might have done like what you thought was the worst set, and then later on that evening after, somebody will come up to you and like, thank you. It'll be one person, that'll just come up to you and say, thank you for that. That was awesome. And you're just like, whoa, that was cool. Like, I didn't expect it. I thought I did horribly, but like sometimes that one person will like change your whole, like, oh dang, I'm gonna keep doing this shit.
Yeah, of course.
And it can be one person, it doesn't have to be a whole crowd of people or anything. It's just like you kind of, and that's the same with art, if you can make somebody think a certain way, like, dang, that's crazy. You made somebody feel something different, with a shirt that you're wearing or like a word that you said, or so that's exciting for me. That's what drives a lot of this stuff, is how other people take it.
Knowing the impact of your art on somebody
on
else.
A human level, like, and on another way where it's like, that's how I want to like gauge it that way. I'm like, all right, cool. When I make a song that makes somebody cry, then I know I'm doing something. If I can emote that, I'm like, dude, I did it. I'll be like, I did it. I'll drop the mic or whatever.
Have you ever had someone, like, not like a friend or anything, but just like someone come up to you and say something negative? Yeah, or say something negative about your art or anything like that?
I don't think so.
No, that's good.
Not like anything like mean or like too honest like that. Like I think it tripped people out sometimes that like they're like, how do you do it? Or like, what do you like? They want to understand what I'm doing, but I don't even know what the hell I'm doing half the time. I don't know a formula to kind of lay it out and like tell you how I did art.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of those things I just kind of like, well, it feels super personal, and like the art was the art, and now it's like I'm doing the music, which is kind of like a whole different direction, So like people don't understand why I'm doing that sometimes, and it's like, and the real ones are like, hey, he's doing himself, so we're not gonna hate on that like at all.
And that's cool too, because you have your art, you have your motif. You have your Deladeso look, right? You have the brand, the look.
I think everybody has style,
right? So
that's what you do. Is you curate a certain style of guest that you want to put on. You do it the Mind Buzz way. I don't know what you call it, but you do it. You are doing what I do.
What is it? What would we call it, Amber? I don't know.
It's Mindy Buzz.
I just thought of someone when you're like, we're talking about style, and one of the guests was like, yeah, you have style, but it's not necessarily good style.
It's not really good style, but you got it.
I just thought of that right now.
Thank you, Genesis. Appreciate it.
That's an honor, right? Like,
She's like, you have style, but
You have style, but it's not very good. All right.
that's your style, though. Like, that's
Not being very
Right?
good.
that's shitty good. Like, it's one of
Shitty
those
good,
things.
yeah.
Shitty good
Good,
is
I like that.
that's a thing, you know. It's like you effortlessly look like crap. Like, like sometimes people are like, you dress a certain way. You're like, man, I don't feel like anything, and then somebody be like, you look cool, and I'm
That's
like,
you.
I just got dressed.
So circling back to what I was saying is you have your look, right? Your theme,
My drip.
your drip, right? In your art, you have it in your music, you have it now in your characters. All that plays. The reason why I asked about like animation and like the TV stuff that you're doing is because I want somebody to create a fucking cartoon, dude. Like that was like I have this artist friend, and him and I we weren't talking about it, but I just had this like fucking vision of like art and podcasts and like cartoon world. And like a few months later, that one show from what's his name? We have to look it up. Let me look it up on my phone real quick. But it was him interviewing different people like in the cartoon. But it was their conversation about like their imagination and these weird ideas was happening in the cartoon.
Yeah, I've seen like people like Theo Von
Who
do
is it?
stuff like where he shows like animations of the guests. So it's like they're doing it all in real time. So it's kind of really
Right.
cool. But it's like, again, one of those things is like I have me to do this, you know? Like I can animate, but it's just gonna take a lot of my time. So I'm like, I gotta like do something so I can have enough time to do that, you know? And it's like, I have like it's just have all these ideas, but its execution is just like, how do I?
Yeah.
That's business, you know. That takes planning and like, how do I get that kind of time, you know? So it's like, it won't just happen. You have to kind of like,
Oh yeah.
do things a certain way to kind of figure that out, you know. So it's like it's there when I want it to be, you know. But
Yeah.
it's like with technology, dude. I think a lot of this stuff's just gonna be so much easier, and like I'm not gonna depend
Yeah.
on AI to do everything, you know. But I'm like, there's certain like apps and things that just animate already, you know.
Before we jump into AI, because I want to get your thoughts. Look up Midnight Gospel. It's Midnight Gospel
Oh, that's a great show.
On Instagram?
on YouTube.
That's the one with the Duncan Trussell. right?
Yes. Yeah. So that was my initial. I was like, you know what? It'd be cool to have this kind of like aesthetic. And then like a few months later, like this came out, and I'm like, this is fucking awesome.
This show
Have you
was
seen
like
this?
This one?
A mind buzz.
It was
for sure.
fucking cool, dude.
So this one? The first
Yeah. Yeah, he just talks about it. Just Have you seen this, Amber?
No.
No?
It's a fun watch for sure.
Yeah.
It's so crazy. It's just like
Fuck.
Merging with simulator in 3, 2, 1.
And it's Duncan Trussell.
yeah, it's like bizarre, but there is like a lot of morality to it, and like there's like a crazy message, and and I love stuff like that. You know, it just I think I'm trying to become like a better storyteller. It was butthole. No, like a lot of the stuff that we do, it's like you won't get to it unless you learn how to tell a story, you know?
Yeah.
And like you can get on stage, but if you don't have nothing to say, or like, you know, it's like, and that's me experimenting with music, because it's like people ask me if I get nervous when I get up there, and I don't. Like I kind of like, I already understand what I'm gonna be doing. Like I like staring at people that I don't know, and just kind of like dead ass staring at them while I'm singing Goofy Duck and all that kind of stuff. And like, because their face is always like, what the hell is this?
The fuck is going
But
on
I'm
right
gonna
now?
sit here and watch this guy do this, You know, and it's
I
like,
came to eat deep fried Oreos, and now I'm sitting here watching this guy sing.
I was
about
at the fair,
duck.
and like where me and my wife are leaving, and then I hear in the distance, "Hey, Goofy!" And I'm like, "What the hell?" And these guys were just like, "Hey!" I'm like, "Did I touch somebody? Did I affect?" They're like, these guys were like super broy too. They're just like, "Hey, Goofy!" I'm like, "Who the hell? Like, are they talking to me?" And then these guys just kind of like, "Whoa!" And I guess they probably walked by while I was performing or some shit. But they were like, "Hey," and then this other person was like, "Hey, that was cool. Like, whatever you did, it was awesome." I'm like, "Awesome!" Like that's crazy.
Is your wife a creative too?
She's a colorist, so she does hair.
Oh, cool.
So she's a musician. She's
I'm
like she's like
did my hair.
oh, it's Nadine does my hair.
All right, I
So
want to go look.
if you're ever in Redlands, she's a better business person than me. She kind of teaches me a lot of stuff because she's been doing it for a long time. So I learned from her, you know, how she schedules, and she's very like, she's for sure knows color theory better than me. You know, I just kind of pick that color, you know, I'm like, I want that one and that one and that one. She's like, I can make that, you know, and I'm like, dang, I can't.
Color theory.
Yeah.
What is that?
Color theory? It's just knowing what color is going to do what, you know. She knows how to like get this color and eliminate that. And so it's like I think in her whole career, she's only like came to the house crying once. Like that she like, so, you know, because it's somebody's hair. So she was so like bummed out that it just kind of affected her that way. But she never did it again, you know. So she learned from that one mistake and like has never like been that again, you know.
And that takes skill, like color theory. I'm addicted to this one TikTok of this man. It's like an Asian man, like an older Asian man, and they take him like colors, right, or things, objects, and then they give it to him, and then he has to replicate it with just.
Can you pull
like,
this up?
primary
I want to see this.
I'm trying to envision this, so I'm like,
Let me see it. Let me see if I can find it.
What's this guy's name?
I don't know. What
His
do I
TikTok
write?
name can be Asian dude on
No.
you know,
Maybe
colored Asian man on.
color theory. Let me see. No.
does anything look familiar?
No. Ah, man, I don't know what
That
it's
lady's
called.
orange.
I don't know. Man matches,
You can find anything on
Color?
YouTube,
maybe.
or just put TikTok after that.
Look how weird all those videos are. It's like I don't know what the hell any of this is.
Ah, man,
Those guys are
know.
kissing.
I know. I was like, what is that? They're wrestlers?
That's wrestling.
Oh yeah.
For you.
I'm like, is that what you're watching on your? I don't know. I owe it to you guys, but he's really cool, and look at this person. Maybe. Yeah.
These are some. Yeah.
So look, he's.
Random dude.
But
See how
look,
you flick that?
look, he's that's a color.
See, that's cockiness right there. You see how he's flicking that?
So he's using all those colors to make the skin color of that picture. So
That's skill, you know. Like people that
Yeah.
can color match and do all that, like that takes time, you know.
Whoa.
yeah. So that's what this man does. So they take him stuff, and then he makes all these colors. Watch no. See, so it matches like exactly. So out of all those colors, they got that color. But that's kind of right. Am I right? Am I wrong?
No,
And he
that's
fucking
that's-
just throws it.
That's
Throws his
like- that's
socks
like
in
the
his
way to-
underwear and
That's like the TikTok
random,
way, right? I see
random
these people
fucking
are just,
condom.
like, aggressively grabbing crayons and just throwing
Yeah.
them and just
Yeah.
look. See, it's the same thing. The same dude.
So he does green, right?
This is satisfying.
I'm telling you. Oh,
Oh.
but yeah, that's. But
I would never use those. Like I just would never even guess to use colors like that. You know,
No,
that
'cause-
takes skill.
Yeah, you just think like, okay, like a brown, maybe white. Like those are the only two colors I can think of when I see this guy's skin.
Dude, every time
Just
I try
white.
to mix a color, it's just shit brown every time.
Yeah.
It's just like it always comes out to shit brown.
But yeah, so is that. So she kind of does things like that.
Oh,
like,
that's nuts.
Oh, look at taking off his eyebrows.
yeah, he took off his eyebrows.
That's
See?
there he
That's
goes again.
talent.
Just throwing stuff.
I'm just scared.
I
Scary.
just, like it blows my mind how much freaking talent is out there.
You gotta
There's someone for everything, huh?
dedicate your time into doing stuff. I think at some point something clicks and you're like,
So what's your thought on that? Are you born an artist, or is it nature versus nurture? Like, are you born an artist, or is it the environment that makes you one?
you're an artist when people start calling you an artist. Like, I think for sure.
Mhm.
Like, I didn't grow up like at all. Like, I'm gonna do art. I love art.
Right.
I was like super just. I didn't know what I was gonna do. I was just kind of like, my first creation was just like, I would build a brotherhood doing skate stuff. I would skate with my friends, my brother, and we would just do stuff and like just be ourselves. We would express ourselves through just kind of like skateboarding, and just at the time you don't know like that's art, like emoting that and doing that stuff and like being creative on a skateboard and just learning different things and learning your own style. You kind of develop all that stuff on the way, so it's like, you start to pick up on it. And yeah, I didn't go like, I'm gonna do art school, I'm an artist. I don't know, like I was like in 5th grade, a teacher was like, noticed that I can do some stuff and like threw me in like a gate program that I almost kind of flunked out of. And like I was not good at school, I was like the worst. And I guess just being creative, people are like, you're gifted, so they throw you in these classes and you think you're like, but it's like that doesn't work out, so you just start like you go to school for other things or whatever, and you're just like kind of like on that path. I'm working in warehouses. I'm like, I'm just out of high school, I gotta go work, and like a little bit after that my wife went into like cosmetology school, so that kind of sparked me into like, I'm gonna do something too. I was editing skate videos, so I was like, all right, cool, I'm gonna edit, I'm gonna make films or whatever. So I went to school, but it's like I never got to the program because it was too expensive. So I kind of ditched after my associates and got my associates in visual communication. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm like, but that's like graphic design basically. And not knowing that all these things together were gonna like make whatever I was doing make sense. I was learning how to do graphics for my videos, and that's where I'm at now. It's like, all this stuff actually applies now. I didn't learn any of it in school. It was more like YouTube that taught me. And
Yeah.
I learned a lot of stuff
YouTube University, right?
Yeah, it's like that's a real teacher. It's all this free stuff. But it's like, but that's how you learn. I'm like, now I got all this student loan debt that I have to like take care of, but like through what I do. But it's like, I don't know. I think it's at that point it becomes that nature versus nurture, whatever. It was just you're like, now I gotta like do this, It's like now I'm doing it because like there is like everything is art, like life is music, art, and entertainment and all that. It's just curing boredom, It's like we're just bored kids just trying to like have fun and like do what we do, It's like build our own Disneyland, That's what my studio is. Like Ufalandia is like a place where I can create and like express myself and bring other people to do the same,
Yeah.
You guys should come one day.
No, I want to.
That'd be fun.
Where is it at?
Riverside.
Riverside?
If you invite us, we'll go.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Send us an invite.
Schedule us on the calendar. No.
Put us on the calendar.
I'm not as legit as you guys. I don't have that app that does
Trust
that.
me, I wouldn't be as legit as the calendar if it wasn't for Gill.
Yeah, I'm super anal.
Is that your
Stuff
business
like
side?
that. Yeah.
You're like, I need
Spreadsheets. I have a spreadsheet for this thing.
He's not playing around.
I'm not. I have
I believe you.
spreadsheets for everything.
And I'm like, yeah, we'll go.
I know. I showed up and you're like, oh yeah, you're here.
I was like,
Honestly, dude.
I didn't even know it was early. I was just like, wait, I'm early? I thought it was
no,
7.
but you really weren't early. We thought you were early for some reason. We thought, I don't know. Our time was
But see, like
in
it.
the air.
It's the
Calendar-
awkwardness of meeting new people.
Calendar, no calendar, and I still got it wrong.
You're like, what the hell are you doing here? Who are you?
Oh, that was today?
I was like, is somebody knocking?
It was like, bah, 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 bah.
Oh, did your
Papa.
watch say? Yeah.
I was like,
Call her Papa.
when I got to the door, I was just like tap tap tap, like super soft, like.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't think they heard that. But I'm scared.
Fucking damn Chino police again.
I was
They're in
light.
there.
I was super subtle with the door. I was like, all right, I'm not gonna sound like crazy. So I was like, fingertips. I was just tap tap tap.
Woke
You
up.
still open that shit all crazy, like.
He's like, what the fuck do you want?
I gave you your rent, okay?
I'm here to talk a little. I'm here to express my feelings. I can leave. I'm gonna leave.
Usually we get like a text like we're here, and then we'll walk out, and then we'll walk you in. So I think
I know,
it was.
I didn't even.
We're
like,
so sorry that we like.
I didn't even ask for like a real number. I was just like, you know how Instagram your replies. I'm like, they don't ever go on there. Like, so I'm like, all right, I'm just gonna go walk in to the wrong place.
So usually like when in the morning when I said, hey, like we're still good for tonight, I usually send like a second message and saying, hey, text me or call me at this number when you
Be a normal person and text me
when
when you show up.
when you
Just don't
pull
walk
up.
in.
No, we wanted you to do it your style. So whatever made you feel better. We're sorry our faces were so surprised.
No, you guys are fine. You guys are fine.
We're like, what the
Where
hell
did
are
this
you
guy,
doing?
wait, hold on. Where did this guy come from? Like, did you
I
schedule
sat
this?
down. You guys threw water bottles at me. I'm like, what the hell's going on? And coffee, you splashed it in my face.
It worked out though. It worked out.
It all
So
works out, right? Like
It
it's not
does.
that deep. It's
What-
like we're having fun.
what's your thoughts on AI stuff? Is it good for
Well, you
what
watch
it is?
Terminator and all these documentaries, man.
Are you one of those? Are you one of those Terminator guys?
But you know that's just inevitable. You know that's what's gonna happen with this stuff. But like while we're here, it's a good tool that we can utilize to do some good stuff. I'm trying to see the positive because there's positive to it.
Absolutely,
you know?
100%.
There's so much good that you can do with it. You just have to know that is a tool, and you don't let that tool use you. You know, so it's like there is like part of me that's like, oh, it's losing the human touch, but it's like, all right, how can we use this to do something that we don't want to do, you know? So it's like there's things that we don't want to do, like set up documents and stuff that can do for you. But like I'm more on the side of like, well, it's not gonna go nowhere. So it's like we have to know how to use this thing to our advantage, you know? Because it's like, yeah, it's gonna bring the world to destruction, you know, the humanity side of everything. It's gonna, you know, it's like the movies, but it's like that's gonna be a while, you know. It might not even be our lifetime at this point, you know, or it might. I don't know how fast it's gonna be. Very different a year from now for sure. So it's gonna be interesting, you know. But I'm like, part of me still likes buying stuff from humans, you know. Like, part of me likes records and all this stuff. So it's like, technology is always coming. So it's like it never stops. Things don't just stop, you know. So it's like it'll take a while for things to transfer over. Like when VHS was switching to like DVDs and then Blu-ray, you know, you kind of just did it, you know, you didn't really think about it. You're just like, I still collect tapes and vinyl and stuff like that, you know, because I like how it sounds. And if you like it, buy it, you know, I don't know.
There's a balance to that too, because as fast as we are progressing, like there's always that human aspect of us, like you wanting to not repeat the past, but like record collecting, vinyl collecting, that's something that people haven't done in the past couple decades. Like there's like as we're progressing with like Spotify and YouTube music and all that shit, right? And on the other side, we're still collecting vinyl. So that there's still a balance. It's not all just one-sided with media like that.
There's a market of interest for everything,
right?
You know? There's just, it's like it's gonna make it more interesting to kind of make money and like, you know, because things like they took our jobs, like the South Park stuff. It's just like that might happen, you know, like stuff's kind of like what used to cost that is not gonna cost that, or it might cost less or more. So it's like, how can we, you know, we have to kind of like trial and error, see what these things are gonna do, you know, because it's like it's gonna change the jobs a little bit, you know, but it's gonna be something to get used to, you know.
How do you think it's gonna affect like the art world? Because I was seeing the other day an article where like a photographer, he won a competition, right? And supposedly, like the judges and everyone, they didn't realize that his submission was AI. And he says, he's like, I did this just to see how far I can go. And he says, he's like, he won. So his photo won, and it was like an AI, right? And he was saying, like, I just wanted to see how far I can go with what I did. And then he like donated the money to somebody else, I think like the second place winner or something like that.
Part of me thinks he probably freaked out on how powerful that tool
Probably,
is.
huh?
I don't want the money. Get away from me.
was just kidding.
He probably started spending a little bit of some creep show stuff started happening where like things started falling and dying and he was just freaked out and it's just like a whole thing. It's like, I don't know. That's kind of trippy, no? Like, what do you guys think? Like,
Yeah, because I already kind of like, I follow a few pages that are very like whimsical and they're all AI generated. Or even there's one that I follow that's like horror,
That's
right?
crazy.
Like gory.
Mhm.
And it's fucking cool. And then I realized, oh shit, an AI did this. Like it's not a painting. It wasn't anything like that. So I always think like, I wonder if that's going to disrupt like the art world where it's not this person making it. It's this fucking robot or whatever it is. Like, I think it's crazy.
art world's always mad about something. Like,
Yeah.
like that's for sure. People are gonna be like, well, people don't know how to describe stuff, so we're fine. Clients don't know how to describe, but I'm like, people know. I think people are really good at like knowing what they want, you know. So if you pay attention to like the negative stuff, it's like, oh yeah, you're gonna be like that thing that you gotta hate about it to like forget about it, and it's like to make yourself feel better. But I'm like, it exists, you know. The fact that it's already there, it's like cool. It's something already, you know. And it's like, I think it's gonna disrupt like a lot of the art world, and like because like you're saying, like the photographer that kind of got away with it, and you saw how powerful it was. I think for people like me, I'm never gonna care. Like I'm still gonna kind of do what I do, and like I already went through that kind of stuff with like the powerful movement of kids and other inspired people doing what I was doing and doing it on its own. So that was kind of like a thing that happened, and I survived that as well, you know. Like I'm still like getting work, so it's like that didn't really. I'm still the guy who did it at the end of the day, you know, the guy that kind of developed that style or whatever, and I'm glad I did it the way I was and not like kind of fighting everybody that was kind of like control. Like I didn't take any control of it. I was like, well, I did it. Now I'm doing something else, you know, and like. That's how I'm looking at what's going on with AI, where it's like, I don't even want to tap like grime art on there. I don't want to feed it that knowledge quite yet, because it's like that's all you do. People are doing all the heavy lifting with that stuff, you know.
Right.
They're typing all the possibilities to kind of make that exist, you know. And it's like, just I didn't leave a warehouse to join another warehouse, so I'm like, dude, that's all that stuff is. It's inputting data and making the stuff exist, you know. It's pretty gnarly. I think.
That's all it's doing. It's being fed information like throughout the internet, right?
Yeah, that's like what we're living right now in Web 2, and then like what's happening with that is like Web 3, and like
I
so it's like-
just cracked into, or who we were talking with a friend, he was on the podcast, Chaco. He was telling me the difference between what was it?
Web 2.
Web 2 and 3. And I'm like, what the fuck is that?
Yeah, we're kind of entering a whole shift of like something, you know. So it's like, dang, like this new internet's like way more advanced than what we did before, you know. We were just kind of setting it up for this, and now it's like another phase, and there's already like a Web 4 developing, you know. So it's
What
like
the fuck?
so it's-
What is that?
it's-
What's Web 4?
I don't know, man.
I'm barely in Web 2 right now.
We're on Web 2, man. We're never gonna see Web 4.
What's Web 4? What is that?
Right now it's like all the AI technology, right? And like stuff. It's just I don't even want to get into it. It's too much. We've already been here for a minute. You gotta look it up yourself, man. I'm like,
That's on the next one, dude.
that'll be the next series for sure, man. But
That's the next
it's
series.
happening, you know. So it's like everything's laid out, you know.
Yeah.
I think we just kind of have to focus on like being more present and being like living in the now, because it's like
There
the
you go.
AI stuff's happening for sure, but it's like cool. I'm still gonna have a good time while I'm in this little free fall, you know. And I'm like, I'm enjoying this, so it's like I can't think about it too much, because it's like it'll stop you, you know. It'll like like I don't want to learn a whole new thing, you know? Like now that all that generated art that's happening, it's like you've seen the stuff like on TikTok where the videos are warping into like different things, and I'm just like, that's a lot. And then like in a year it's gonna be better and more powerful, and I'm like, well, I'm still gonna make my shitty good art, you know? That's what I'm gonna focus on right now.
Dude.
There's a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
A lot of sweat for sure. I apologize for that, man.
It's okay. I have to mop that spot that you're in right now.
Can you hear the squish? That's nasty, huh?
We're gonna collect your sweat and sell it on there.
Oh yeah, we're gonna create
you make the thumbnail, but me sweaty as fuck.
We're gonna create a whole new.
Do me clean like that, right?
We're gonna go look for the sweatiest.
If you do that,
picture.
that's how I know. I'm like, they hated me.
No, not even.
It's your presence, man. You guys made me. I'm super like starstruck.
No, it's fucking hot in here. Don't even.
It's fucking hot in here.
Don't even get there, dude.
I try to give you something, man. Like, no, you guys are awesome, man. I appreciate.
We
you
talked
guys.
about earlier taking. The
Yes, you're
right.
okay. All right.
Thank you.
You're amazing, dude. Like,
Thanks.
you guys are both freaking awesome. Like, this is like super fun, and like, it makes me feel comfortable. You know, it takes a second usually with everybody, you know, but it's like with like meeting people like you, it's like, oh, it's instantly like chill.
Cool.
Thanks, man.
I'm glad you feel like that.
I've seen some of your interviews too, so you're kind of ruthless at some point, like with people.
What? And which one?
I don't know. You're like in the best way, you know.
Ruthless.
Like you ask the best questions, you know. You can kind of like hold your ground and just ask, you know. You're kind of like your own like things that would make other people uncomfortable or something.
To ask?
Yeah, it's a little bit, right?
Yeah,
No,
sometimes. I
sometimes,
can see
right?
that. I can see that. So you were all like nervous. You're like, what the hell are they gonna ask?
The fuck is he gonna ask me about my car? He's gonna ask me about my car, huh?
Yeah, my car stuff sucks for sure.
We were
I thought
gonna.
you were gonna be all like shaved and shit, like all like.
all cholo. He's gonna
all
beat you up.
cholo-fied. I was until that last one that I didn't know you weren't that Mexican.
Oh, really?
I was- Oh man.
You gave it away. Now everybody knows he's not that Mexican.
No, you're probably more than me for sure.
What does my grito mean, anyways? I don't even know.
According to Ancestry.com,
I'm
use
60%
that?
now.
he did it. He's more Mexican than probably you and I put together. So
The last time we checked, it was
you
60%.
had gone down to 60, but
Dude,
the
that's like
first time-
apocalypto level.
Yeah.
It was 80%
He was 80%
when I first did
when he
it.
came out. Indigenous Mexican.
Yeah,
You need a bone on your nose, dude. Like
I
Almost.
do.
it's spiritually, it's there.
It's there.
It's there.
Yeah,
You don't need stuff no more.
yeah. I see hieroglyphics when I'm tripping, and it's wild. Pyramids everywhere. See my ancestors. It's wild, bro.
But you like pizza.
But I like pizza.
What's your favorite food?
My favorite food? I like vegan food.
Mhm.
Is that's
That's
food,
just like
right?
everything vegan?
Like you
Yeah.
like vegan pizza.
like Mexican vegan or like just vegan?
Vegan junk food. I like.
I can see that.
Yeah.
What's yours?
Is that just
Yeah,
like
what's
French
yours?
fries?
Yeah.
I like burgers. I'm a burger dude.
Yeah, I think you're a
From
burger
where?
dude too.
From?
Yeah. What's
I'd
your
like to
favorite burger?
explore
What's
burgers.
your favorite burger?
There's a spot in Moreno Valley called Portillo's,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just a really good burger. But I like the generic like Tommy burger. Or no, I don't like Tommy burgers that much. The Charles Boyd burgers, you know, like the little,
Mhm.
they're all the same everywhere, you know. Like I'd be the guy that'd go to Marisco spot and ask for a burger.
Oh my god! I'd be like, get the fuck out of here.
Get the fuck out of
I'm
here.
sure people have told me that, but like
You know
I
how
don't
old
care.
these patties are?
I've never thought of that.
Yeah, come on. The least ordered
Think about
thing.
it.
I'm
Yeah.
that guy.
Think about it. When you have too much food items on a menu, like be weary of what you're ordering at that place.
Mariscos and burger.
I don't know.
Yeah, as long
It would
as
always
it
be
is-
bomb still, like, you know, because they would, it would still be bomb. Like, I would like, because they probably like tried, like, they're probably like happy that I did that. They're like, wow, finally I can cook something
Like,
that's not
finally,
shrimp.
not an agua
You know?
chile.
It's like-
They're all excited back there.
He's like, I finally get to use
He
this.
Ah, to make a patty right now. Squish.
You're right. I
He's
never
like,
thought of
no
that.
glove or anything, just like through the fingers
All
and
right.
everything.
Next time I go to a restaurant, I'm gonna
He's treating that.
choose the least.
Do it for the cook.
2
Yeah.
weeks
Do
later,
it for
you're
the
like,
chef.
"Ugh, I'm still sick. Never listening to nobody anymore. I'm not telling you to do it. I'm not recommending. I'm just like,
But I never thought of it in that light of, yeah, maybe they're tired of making the same shit over and over. Let me give them a variety, something
it's just like,
different.
who doesn't like burgers? You know,
True.
Like, it's one of those things. You know, In-N-Out, staple, Baker's.
You like Whataburger?
I've had Whataburger. Yeah.
What
I've
do
tried
you
it.
think?
I'm still like a loyalist, so I still have to go like, yeah, no, In-N-Out, you know. and
Yeah.
like, Shake Shack's pretty good.
I haven't tried that. I need to
Shake
try
Shack's
it.
different.
Shake
They're
Shack
from
is
the
good.
what? The East Coast or something like
Yeah.
that?
Do you like tall burgers or like long, like big burgers?
Tall,
You like
big,
stacked,
stacked.
meaty?
Yeah.
Like I like just more, just wide.
Man. Like a smash burger?
smash
Oh,
style, I
okay.
guess. Yeah.
Those are pretty
When
popular.
it's too meaty, it's just too much.
Yeah.
I think it's just too much meat.
I'm hungry now. You guys have been talking
Yeah, I
about
know.
a burger for the last.
This is how we
5
wanted to end
minutes.
this.
Right.
It wasn't even like any knowledge or anything. I like burgers.
Like, how do you want to close this? You're like, I like burgers. You're
Come
like
to
the
my
kid-
burger shop that I'm starting.
What's the case?
That's it, right?
It's Deladeso Smash Burgers.
Wait, one
You
more
wanna smash?
question. One more question before we go. Where did Deladeso come from? The name.
I used to DJ as Desolate back in the MySpace days.
Mm.
And once Twitter started, I was just kind of like, I had one of my best friends. The caller ID would pop up, and his middle name is Della Cruz.
hmm
So I was just like, oh, Della's sick, and it was just Deladeso. I just kind of cut it short on when I made the Twitter, and then that just became my handle.
Interesting. That's cool.
And like of the Desolate, because it was just me DJing by myself, so it'd just be like me from nowhere, you know. And it was just kind of more like, it was like, oh, I want to make something deep. or
Desolate. What
whatever.
is that?
Desolate's like
Yeah.
a desolate land. It's like a land with nothing, you know. So it's just kind of like, you know, from nothing, or
Oh, okay.
it was just kind of one of those things that only
Little
meant something to me.
wordplay in there.
Yeah, because people are like, after, like, it'd be desolate, and that's an English word. People would be like desolate. They would like Mexican it up, or like, because I'm like, I guess I would be brown, and they would always like,
That'd be wrong.
I'm like, it's desolate. Like, I don't understand why they're doing that to that word, you know. And then like, that's it. It stuck.
That's the birth. Richie, thanks for coming out, dude. Appreciate it.
Hey, man.
Thanks, man. You're good over there?
Yeah, my fingers
Yeah?
slipped.
Okay, good.
My hands aren't that sweaty though. It's just my face. I'm sorry for anybody that watches this.
Go ahead and tell us where we can find your stuff and what you got coming up.
A lot of stuff that I do, you can find on. I post everything on my Instagram, so just Deladeso. We have a few shows coming up with my art collective that I'm a part of called Bloody Gums. We're doing a show on the 9th of June in LA. Pretty much anything I post, it's like whatever is the most relevant. Go to my website, deladeso.com, where I post a lot of the merch and like recap videos and all that stuff. But yeah, you can find me on the internet. I'm the dude with the cardigan.
On the interweb.
On
What
the
did you say?
internet.
I said the interwebs
The other day he's
earlier.
like, oh, on the interweb. I'm like, what the hell is the interweb? Like, cool.
No, thank you guys for having me. This
No,
was
thank
fun.
you. This was a lot of fun.
I was gonna cosplay today, to be honest.
As
I was,
me?
Yeah,
Yeah, he was gonna put on a
I
mustache.
would have loved that.
yeah.
That would've
Next
been
time. Next time we'll do it.
Where's your merch on here?
funny. If you go down, just print and merch. Right there.
Oh, right here. Cool.
I like shirts. I like focus on like some of like all the prints that I always put out. have some collaborative screen prints that I do with my buddy from Coachella called Blue Hill Studios. He does my screen prints.
Oh, nice.
That's cool. Well, go buy merch, people.
You don't have to, but
Come on, you gotta say yeah.
go buy stuff. Gill, you have a phone?
The Mind Buzz. Peace out. Thanks for coming out, dude. Okay?
Thanks.